All right, guys, let's talk a little fighting nerds because there's this big panic session going on. The nerds. And the nerds came out with something absurd. It was like 17 wins. When they got noticed, it was like 17. They went into the 20s of wins in a row. I mean, it was something just absurd. And now you have them coming off of 3 losses, 2 main events. And there's a panic. The nerds aren't as good as we were told. Nah, I don't see it that way at all. One of them lost to Imanov, right, Kyle Barao, which was a number 1 contenders match, and the other lost in the main event of Noche against the former number 1 contender. I mean, it's not as though the nerds have slid. Their recognition, their competition has stepped up, not to mention the performances were there. You try being in Kyle Barao's spot. You try going through a training camp to fight either Dricus or Chimaev. You don't know which. You got to make weight on a continent that 3 weeks later you got to go to a different continent, readjust to that time zone, make weight and fight a completely third other guy. I mean, not for nothing. These are very difficult positions. And to act as though, the old expression, you got to throw the baby out with the bathwater, is not what's going on here. But I can relate. I came up through Team Quest. And Team Quest was an elite gym in the world. I will admit at the time that they won a publications ranking for the number 1 gym in the world. I will admit there was probably less than 10 gyms in the world. It was a different time. But we were still number 1. Evan Tanner, rest his soul, was the champion of the world. Dan Henderson is over in Japan. He's the champion of Pride. Randy Couture is the main event heavyweight champion of the world. Oh, and by the way, with those 3 hammers, Matt Lindland with no belt was ranked number 1. Matt was ranked in front of the 3. This is how tough Team Quest was. And, okay, so Team Quest was a group of guys that got together at 3 o'clock and practiced, worked out, trained. Whatever word that you want to use, but that's all that we were. And I was part of it. There's a number of other guys, but I'm just sharing we were a group of guys that got together at 3. In fact, the very first thing we would ask when we got there, we all get there, we say hello, we're opening up our bags, taking our gear out, and somebody, one of us would yell to the group, are we going big gloves or little gloves today? And then the group would do like a vote. Oh, let's go big gloves. Let's go little gloves. And then that's what we would do. And then somebody would push go on a clock, and every 5 minutes we would switch partners and we would just be sparring. That was it. There was no warm-up. There was no technique session. Nobody knew any technique. There was no coaching and drilling. Nobody knew what to show or what to drill. It was just some tough guys that saw it on TV and tried to emulate it in the back. Oh, and by the way, had good enough athletes and tough enough guys that they went all the way to the top. But that's what Team Quest was. And so the bosses of Team Quest, one weekend, they all go down. Lindland gets beat. Henderson gets beat. Randy gets beat. They used to play different days. I believe the UFC at that time played Friday nights, but Pride played Sunday afternoon. So in the course of the weekend, the 3 bosses go down, and Randy huddles them up and says, never again. And he says, we need to prepare the way we did in wrestling, which is an organized and official practice not ran by us. We cannot be doing the practice and deciding what practice is. And that is where they sat down Robert Follis, who was a fighter, who had the same dreams as us, who was competing, who was showing up every day at 3, and said, will you stop? Will you stop your dream of being a fighter? And will you transition to our coach? Will you show up each day at 3 with a plan? We want a warm-up. We want a drill. We want a technique session. We want to go live. We want a brief conditioning and cool down, and then we want to go home and want to have the whole thing done in 2 hours. Yes. The answer was yes by Robert. And he gave up his career right there, and he became the coach of Team Quest, and we started to do things differently. And by the way, Dan reclaimed that Pride Championship, and Randy reclaimed that UFC Championship. So I don't know that the nerds are in the same spot as Team Quest. Team Quest, that specific weekend, did not perform well. They did not get caught. They got beat. And that is where Randy said, no, we're going to change things. We're going to change the way we do things so we can expect to change the result. That isn't the same thing that happened with the nerds. It's just not. But it might feel like it is to them. And if they do and go make some sweeping changes, I can live with it. I don't want to encourage them otherwise. As long as none of those changes involve change in personnel. If any of them think that a coach screwed up, they are wrong. They did not. Those athletes looked great. Those coaches did their job. If any of them think they need new training partners, they're going to leave the nerds and go over here for a couple of months, they are wrong. They need to stick with this team. The performances are there. The rise, the marketing, the push is there. The outcome, right? It's a two-man sport. Your odds aren't very good. You only got 50% chance on the best of nights. It's one of these things. And I am not only not discouraged with the fighting nerds, I am more confident and encouraged with the fighting nerds than I've ever been.